You made it this far. Keep going. Love Dove chocolate.
Don't fucking tell me how to live my life.
You made it this far. Give up.
Yeah, you might as well quit while you're ahead. I'm going to Scottsdale, Arizona in 2 weeks. And it's going to be 110 degrees.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's also one of the reasons I moved out of the desert.
I'm looking forward to
So
the weekend and not looking forward to the locale. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scottsdale is cursed.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as someone who has friends who live in Arizona. You know, I love you guys, but I don't want to visit Arizona.
Yeah.
Unless it's Flagstaff.
Is there any time, like, is it hot like that all year, or is it especially bad I've only been
It's
in the
just
summer.
super bad in the summer.
I have, like, a thought starter cue for you based on, I think it's a TikTok trend, or it's just one girl that did it. I'm not sure. This girl FaceTimes her friends and says, okay, don't freak out. And then sees, like, what their reaction is. And every single one of her friends thought that she was getting back with her ex. And I was thinking, if you called your friends and said, don't freak out, what do you think that they would think?
Don't freak out.
You were
I
about
think
to
it
tell them?
depends on the friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they would think that maybe I'm pregnant.
Oh.
Or engaged.
Oh.
Or was getting back together with an ex.
Yeah. I feel like that's, like, the common
Yeah, because
belief.
if you say don't freak out, or maybe they'd think I'm moving to, like, their state, to Arizona. If I was like, don't freak out, but
Okay. So it would be more of, like, a positive thing?
potentially.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about it from the perspective of it, like, being a positive piece of news. Because, like, all of her friends were like, no, like, don't fucking say it. No. Like, everybody thought it was her getting back with
I
her.
guess I don't know. I should ask them.
Yeah.
If I said don't freak out, what would you think I'm about to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
And I'm trying to think of, like, what if my friends called me or FaceTimed me or whatever and said don't freak out, but
yeah.
like,
What would you think I was going to tell you?
don't freak out. I think you would tell me that you were quitting the podcast.
Oh my fucking God.
Potentially.
That would
I would
shatter
think
my heart.
like, if it was bad news, I would think that, like, don't freak out, but that. Or
That's so sad.
if you and Frank were moving to another state.
Oh my God.
If you and Frank got engaged, but I just don't think that you would lead with don't freak out.
I think I would also tell you in person.
Yeah. I
If that
think
were
you'd
the
be
case.
like, yeah, you'd tell me in person. Well, I don't know. You wouldn't call me, like, after it happened.
It depends on where I was. Maybe I'd call you and just be like,
Uh-huh.
throw my hand
I'm
up to
like,
the camera.
would I want to call people right away? I don't know if I would.
Yeah, I might just want to, like, relish in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always see people, like, whenever they post that they've, like, gotten engaged or, like, they had a baby, it's always, like, a week after the fact. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What would you think I was going to say?
I was thinking about this. Don't freak out. If you were like, okay, don't freak out, but I was actually thinking about this when I was getting ready upstairs after you got here. I think that it would be you. Can you hear her doing that?
No.
Okay, good. This is Polly ASMR. I would think that you, like, posted, like, one of our friends' shitty boyfriends, like, on the T app. That just feels like something that you would do.
Yeah, that does seem like something I would do.
And it feels like something that you would call me and be like, okay, so don't freak out.
But
But I did start a war online.
I haven't done that in a while.
So don't freak out. The FBI just showed up at my house for threatening
Yeah.
to kill a congressman. That's probably what it would be.
For threatening the president.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just curious. I was thinking about it. I feel like if I was calling people and saying that, they would think that I, like, reached out to my ex, probably.
Yeah,
Not
I was going to say
like-
maybe that. Don't
Yeah.
freak out, but I reached out to my ex. I would be like, why? What could you possibly gain from that?
Yeah, right. I have so many dreams.
If it did end up being productive, then cool. But,
Yeah.
like, the likelihood of it being productive is
Low.
so low.
Low. I have a lot of dreams that I get back together with him, and I have to explain to you specifically,
Oh my God.
like, what happened. Sometimes it's Katie that I'm worried about telling, and most of the time it's you that I'm worried about telling.
I mean, that
Which
is
good.
valid.
Yeah. Keep me honest.
I think it's interesting that you, like, in your head are like thinking about how you're gonna like explain it.
Yeah.
And not like, because when I have dreams like that I get back together with my ex, it's never a how do I explain this? It's always like, why did I agree to this? How do I get out of it?
Yeah.
Like,
that's interesting.
This isn't someone I want to be with. Like, I always feel badly about it. I'm never like,
like, how am I going to talk my way around this?
Yeah, or I don't know. I'm always like, I don't want this to be my situation. Why the fuck am I in this relationship?
You know, like, there's always like a feeling of chaos in all of the dreams. I'm always like, oh, fuck. All right. Okay. Well, here I am. Like, I never question it, which is so strange.
Have you ever been able to look at yourself in the mirror in a dream?
That's a good question.
Because whenever I try and look at myself in a mirror in a dream, something happens. Like, I can't look at myself. It's pretty hard.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's notoriously hard to look at the time and look at yourself in a dream.
Looking at the time is like a common thing that people say that they can't do in dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I have noticed that I'll know that I'm in a dream when I'm trying to fit through like a small space. Like walk through like a door that's too small, or like drive through like a tunnel that's too small, because it's like it's a staple in all my dreams. I want to know this. I want to know the symbolism of it.
That is interesting.
Why?
I always know it's a dream when something bad happens, like really bad.
Oh, that's good.
But then it makes me worried that if something really bad did actually happen to me, that I would be like, is this real?
Oh my God, that's the whole plot of Inception. That's why his wife kills herself.
Is this real? Nothing's real. I'm going to jump off the roof of this building.
Good ass movie. Confusing.
If you die in your dream, you die in real life.
Yeah, that was such a scary thing.
Wait, is that true? Was that in Inception? If you die in your dream, you die in real life? Or if you die in a video game, you die in real life?
No, I think that was a part of Inception, because there was like, they were trying to keep that one. I think it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt got shot a bunch, and they were trying to keep him alive like in the dream.
Huh.
He was like too like deep in the like levels. It's really good.
What? I should get really high and watch back to back Interstellar, Inception.
Yes.
Maybe start with Inception.
Ooh.
And then do Interstellar.
Wow.
What would be and then Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That movie was so fucking good.
Just have like a really crazy day.
Yeah. I like that for you.
Speaking of getting really high, an update on my ketamine therapy. Horse girl summer. So as I've mentioned, I have been doing ketamine infusion therapy. So that's when they give you ketamine through an IV. Your body processes ketamine pretty quickly, so it's not like you're high for a super long time, and you're like being observed, and it's a very like medical experience, except you do like trip balls.
Yeah.
But I have like, when I go in, I know I'm there for like a treatment. Like I think it also helps I've never done it like recreationally. Yeah. So I didn't have any expectations going into it. I would say the most positive side effect has been I have way less anxiety.
Really?
Yes. And it's kind of, I was thinking about this on the bus this morning. Like, I have way less anxiety about things, like everyday stuff. Way less anxiety about like what's going on in the world, and more acceptance towards it. Whoa. Of like, okay, shit sucks.
Yeah.
We're gonna be riding it out. Like, there's no way to know what's gonna happen, but like, I know who I am. So
yeah,
I'm gonna show up as myself and keep like speaking truth to power. But
that's so interesting.
I was thinking it's like a chicken and the egg. Like, was I depressed because of anxiety, or did I have anxiety because of depression?
Who knows? They're comorbid a lot of the time.
I know, yeah. So it made me kind of think that maybe the anxiety caused my depression.
Yeah.
And it just feels like when you have anxiety that has built up and become so like overwhelming, it feels like you're constantly hitting the brakes just on your life and your feelings and everything around you. Yeah. And it feels like the brakes have really eased up.
Good.
And I've been they encourage you to start to like do and integrate more habits that you want to keep like after an infusion. I'm usually exhausted. So I get really hungry and then I get really tired.
Interesting.
And I sleep like a rock. So I went yesterday and I slept for more than 8 hours last night.
Oh,
Wish I could have slept at least 3 more hours.
wow.
Once I got going, I was like, okay, I can do this. But yeah, I haven't been drinking, smoking weed because I just wanted it to be as effective as possible. Like, I'll have a drink maybe on the weekend, but like, you're not supposed to drink the day before, obviously the day of or the day after. So I don't know. And then you're just not thinking about it as much. Haven't been smoking weed, same thing. And then I also stopped taking my Adderall a while back.
Yeah.
I told my psychiatrist and she was like, or our psychiatrist.
Thank you for correcting. No, I'm just kidding.
I told our psychiatrist and she was like, well, you can take Adderall just on the days that you feel like you really need it. And I was like, oh shit, you could do that?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's
fucking
not like Prozac.
obviously you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, huh. I
Yeah.
was like, maybe I will do that. But for the time being, I'm not going to take it until after this whole experience because I was like, okay, it's very expensive. My insurance doesn't cover it. I'm going to try and make this as effective as possible.
Yeah.
I think my experience is probably different than everyone's experience. I've done psychedelics before, so I've had like that kind of like spiritual experience. With ketamine, I don't really like there's no way for me to really control anything. That's going on. Like, I don't know. You don't really have as many feelings the way that you do on like mushrooms.
Yeah.
At least I noticed. And my feelings are not nearly as intense. It's a lot more like curiosity and just kind of observing. They call it a disassociative, and I absolutely feel disassociated.
That's nice.
I feel it's peaceful.
Yeah.
But I can't stop my internal chatter. That's the only thing. So I just kind of like let my thoughts go wherever, and I have all of these like crazy visuals that aren't really anything, but it does feel, my last one felt like Inception. Like when he's falling, or not Inception, Interstellar. When he's falling.
Oh, through the black hole?
Yeah, and then he's kind of like stumbling into like the timeline where his daughter is.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
it has
scary.
been interesting.
It's not scary though when it's happening.
I mean, I'll start to feel a little scared, but then I'm like, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And it's so much better if I am curious about this and just let it happen and see where it goes rather than be afraid of whatever.
Totally.
This last one, I woke up and they're like, when they try and talk to me afterwards and they're like, how was your experience? I'm like, I don't want to talk right now. Okay.
Yeah, they should know that.
I know.
You
Maybe some people really do. I have no idea. I'm like, I'm trying to even remember my whole experience, but it definitely feels like you're like falling and being like sucked into, at least I felt like that. It feels nice.
Yeah?
And then at some point it feels like you don't even have a body.
Oh my
And
God.
you're like, I'm not even real. And I do still think that we're not real.
Oh.
We are, but we aren't.
What is real?
That's the whole question.
Fuck, dude.
But I was also going to say, Amelia's been calling it horse camp. I went to horse girl camp and they gave me ketamine.
Yeah.
No, Amelia's been calling it horse camp. Mr. Liz, anytime we do something around the ketamine appointment, because he's my ride, you're not allowed to drive back from.
Thank God.
Yeah. Once you do it too, you're like, oh, no wonder you're not allowed to drive.
Yeah.
Anything before or after surrounding horse camp, he calls it horse blank. These are my pants that I like to wear to ketamine appointments because they're silk.
Yeah, they're very
Quince,
nice.
hashtag not sponsored. Silk pants, very
Love them.
comfortable, very airy and free. He calls them my horse pants.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Everything is horse blank.
Yes. As God intended.
Horse girl summer.
That's the name of her summer playlist.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
been-
slaps. We listened to it at Girls'
Thank
Night
you.
on Friday.
Got a lot of throwbacks.
Yeah, it's really good.
On it.
Yeah, we had a little artsy fartsy night here on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Us girls.
It was fun.
It was fun. Polly was there. She's still wearing her party bandana from the evening. I love your friend that you brought.
She is really great.
I want to interview her on
hilarious.
the podcast. She's, like you said, she's a very good storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Maybe we'll, like, have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, have a little chit-chat with her. That's great that you are feeling less anxious.
Thank you.
Already. Like, that's, like, what, do you have one more left?
Two more. So I have one tomorrow and then another one next Tuesday.
Okay.
That's my last one.
Oh, my God.
And they keep giving you a higher and higher dose each time. So this next one, who knows what'll happen.
That's so interesting.
I started chanting in the car, ego death, ego death.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
One thing I will say, I don't know if this is recommended, but I do wish that I was doing other psychedelics in between. Because I feel like you have a lot of, like, or at least I do when I do mushrooms, not for fun and more for, like, spiritual exploration purposes.
Yeah.
I feel more, like, connected to myself and everyone and everything around me. Like, it's a lot more of a spiritual experience, and I think reinforcing that while your brain has these new neural pathways opening would be really beneficial.
Totally. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. One thing that it makes me a little nervous is because I'm less anxious, I have less of a filter.
Oh.
That's
kind of cool. That's interesting.
Yeah,
to know that, like,
I'm not nervous about hurting someone's feelings, so that makes me feel a little.
That's really interesting, though. Like, it's like your filter was a result of your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never have thought that.
Of just
really
being like, I need to hold this in because it could potentially be bothersome to someone else.
Yeah.
Instead of, or like trying to kind of explain away the feeling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's something that is, like, such a huge thing with my anxiety. I'll have, like, pre-arguments in my head, and then I just don't bring anything up, you know?
Yeah. Not to say that I'm, like, just blurting out whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I do still try and be thoughtful.
Of course.
But I'm trying to think of, like, an example I can give you. I don't know. Someone that I don't like. I've looked at it from so many angles and obsessed over, like, how much I do not like this person, but tried to, like, still have empathy for them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And try and stay in the feeling of, like, okay, well, I don't know everything that they've experienced and blah, blah, blah. And this is probably why they behave this way, and coming up with reasons to explain away how they've made me feel through their treatment.
Yeah.
And now it's more just like, sure, that can be true, but also
fuck this person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, but also, like, fuck them. Like, maybe all of that is true, but it's not my responsibility to carry it.
Yes.
So
totally.
That's more of how I feel like I've noticed it showing up.
Yeah, that feels healthy.
It feels really good because I legitimately feel like it felt like there was this constant pressure and tightness in my chest, and it finally feels like my chest is like, let it go.
Wow.
I feel so much less pressure from just day-to-day activities.
I love that.
It's been fantastic.
Good. Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
Thank
that
you.
It's been, like, a good and worth it experience for you.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how the next 2 sessions make you feel too.
Yeah.
Like, amp that up.
And how much I trip.
Yeah.
I really do want to have an ego death. I think that would be fun. We've been getting Factor meals, which I've mentioned to you. # not sponsored. God, I wish. I will say that some of them are kind of a miss.
Yeah.
Some of them.
That makes sense.
We've been calling them slop or TV dinners.
Okay.
And, you know, they've, like, some of them are, I would say they've been average.
Okay.
At worst, they've been average.
That's
None
pretty
of
good.
them have been bad.
See, I was getting Daily Harvest for a while, and there were some that were bad. But Daily Harvest is factors that, like chef prepared meals.
Yeah. That's why we call them TV dinners.
Yeah.
And some of them do look like slop. That's why we call it slop. Speaking of slop, the name Sloppy Joes is so funny to me. I haven't thought about Sloppy Joes since maybe middle school.
Yeah.
And because sometimes my dad would make them. Like, when mom's gone, dad's making dinner and he's making either Sloppy Joes or rice-a-roni.
It was the opposite.
That was pre-grill.
That's so funny. Whenever my dad was gone, we would have sloppy joes because he did not like sloppy joes. But I fucked
Can
with
we
sloppy
please have
joes.
sloppy joes, Dad?
The fucking best.
Sloppy joes, so freaking funny. I don't know why I think that's such a funny name.
Sloppy
joes.
Sloppy is a crazy adjective.
Well, yeah, I was thinking like, what an offensive thing to be called.
Yeah.
Sloppy.
Do you think someone named Joe named it, or it was like Joe's ex-wife?
I would love to know.
Sloppy fucking
Here's
Joe.
your slop, you fucking Joe.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I want to know the origin.
Slop.
That's so funny.
I need to try one again. Well, the reason I thought of it is because Mr. Liz and I went on a walk, and like a sign outside one of like the diners we walked past said like Sloppy Joe's, blah blah blah.
Wow.
And I was like, Sloppy Joe.
Damn, they're having a comeback.
Sloppy Joe's.
Sloppy Joe.
But the Factor meal thing. So we've been getting our Factor deliveries, and then this is sad. Our upstairs neighbor, her husband passed away unexpectedly.
Jesus.
Did
you know him?
No, I don't think. I think maybe I've seen them once. I saw them like, I saw him right before he passed away.
That's so scary.
Just like walking out in and out. We have such a small building, and I almost never see our neighbors.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy.
Was the people with the dog?
No,
oh.
no. They're old. They're older.
Oh, okay.
They've retired. Yeah.
That's so sad though.
He passed away unexpectedly, playing golf, doing what he loves.
Well, I guess that's all we could ever hope for.
And then Mr. Liz let in a delivery yesterday, and I was like, what was it? Did you order something? And he was like, no, it was a Factor meal box. And I was like, oh, for who? Because we already got all of our stuff delivered the day before. And he's like, for the upstairs neighbor. And I was like, oh, that makes me really sad.
Yeah. But maybe it was a gift from someone.
Could be.
You know, like a meal train kind of thing.
And then he was like, should we invite her over for dinner sometime? And I was like, yeah, I think we should.
That's
and
really
then I
nice.
was like, what if we invite her over and we make Factor meals?
We know that you like these.
I told him that. He was driving, and he started laughing so hard. He was like, you almost made me back into the building behind us.
That would be so
what
funny.
if we invite the neighbor over for dinner and we just make more Factor meals?
That would be such a funny bit. I have a friend who, whenever people come over to his place, he offers them milk for the bit. And it's so fucking
Can
funny.
I get you a glass of milk?
Like, can I get you anything to drink? Milk?
I'd leave.
Nobody ever expects you to be offered
Yeah,
milk.
that's because drinking milk is a red flag.
Yes,
Sorry.
Agreed.
Sorry.
What about almond milk?
If you just...
You
I
enjoy
think
a
if you're
cup of
just
almond
straight
milk?
up drinking a glass of any sort of milk, something is not okay with you. Unless it's chocolate. If it's chocolate milk or chocolate almond milk, which
Ooh.
I personally think tastes better.
Oh.
I'm not a big milk person.
No, me neither. I mean,
I don't know.
I can't drink milk.
But if you're drinking like a whole ass glass of any sort of milk, keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah.
Do not tell anyone that.
Yeah, that is one of those things that are just, it's better to keep in your head.
Like, Mr. Liz loves those Fairlife protein milk drinks. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
there's something about this that grosses
That's why
me
he
out.
farts so much. Those things that is pure gasoline.
I don't know. He's literally been farting a ton since we started dating, and it is way less. One of our favorite activities. Have I told you about Yap Shower?
When you guys talk, when one of you's in the shower.
Yeah,
That's one of my
no.
favorite things ever.
Both of us
Oh.
are in the shower.
Oh.
So our master bathroom has 2 shower heads.
Oh.
I like the one that gets hotter and has higher water pressure, so it's perfect. So we stand face to face and wash our hair
That's
and
so
just
cute.
talk. Yeah, so we call it Yap Shower. And then we'll be like, "Do you want to take a yap shower tonight?" And then
That's
we'll be like,
so
"Yeah."
cute. What the fuck?
So,
I want
what
2
was I
shower
gonna say
heads.
with Yap Shower?
What were we just talking about? My brain just went empty.
Talking about Factor meals, Yap
Yap
shower.
shower.
Oh, Mr. Liz's farts.
Oh.
Well,
I love we're both just we're on such autopilot all the time.
We're
with this
just
podcast.
talking.
We just forget what we're talking about.
we're in we're in the Yap shower.
Yeah.
So
Yappy shower.
we took a Yap shower yesterday, and some of these Factor meals, they do make you toot. I'll say that. So we're in the Yap shower.
So brave of you to say.
I mean, there's no way around it. If you look at them, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be ripping ass.
Yeah, you can tell.
It's occasional though. There was one that we were both just like, we need extra windows to open or something. Like, it was rough.
Like the vault.
But anyways, in the yap shower yesterday, one just slipped out of me.
Oh no, and in the shower it's so bad.
I know, but I was also like, you've definitely farted in the shower so many times when I've been in here. But he was so mad at me. I was like, I'm sorry, I tooted, and then he was like, in the shower, and I was like,
Sacred ground.
It just leaked out. I couldn't help it, and I thought you should know. And he's like,
you should have.
It's hot. It smells like hot broccoli air.
But leading into our main discussion, because our main discussion is kind of like
I'm rubbing my palms together.
Is kind
metaphorically
of a talking tits kind of moment. I have a couple of headlines just to touch on. Post Malone's single again. Him and his girlfriend broke up. I just wanted to let everyone know.
And I want to let everyone know I didn't even know he had a girlfriend. Once he went country, I'm just not.
Pretty sure he had a kid with her.
Not really interested.
Yeah, I can understand that. He's a little bit of a culture vulture, but I do love him. I think that he is one of the few kind men left in Hollywood. Second headline: JoJo Siwa, straight? ? She identifies as queer. But people are pissed because she came out as not lesbian and is dating a man during Pride Month, which feels sacrilegious.
Yeah.
And she cheated on her partner, who was non-binary, while she was on Big Brother with this man.
I did hear that.
And he is so underwhelming.
And it sounded like JoJo was obsessed with him.
And he's obsessed with her. And they were like just friends that like cuddled in bed, but now they're like, you know, posting like naked selfies in bed together and shit, like after for sure fucking. Yeah.
That's weird.
She's trying to pull a Miley, you know, to break away from like the kid star.
And it sounds like I wish I had other things to cite, but I know that there's been at least one other person like in the cultural zeitgeist who has done something similar, where they've been like, I'm gay, and then they start dating a straight person who is not
people are pissed at Billie Eilish for doing that, but like she's always identified as bi, you know, and like it's very like bi erasure of like being pissed when like a bi woman dates a straight man, like is happening with Billie Eilish. Like they're pissed that she's with a man. It's like,
isn't she like kind of only dated men? Why do you I guess I think that's like also super annoying, is like when you come out as bisexual and the expectation is that you then have to justify your sexuality.
Yeah.
You have to prove it.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's none of your business.
Right. Yeah. Like this, it's really gross to care that much about someone else's sexuality. And I will stand on 10 toes and say again, not everybody should have the internet.
Yeah.
Or access to talking about anything.
I believe in your right to free speech. I just don't believe that I should have to see it.
Yeah, I will defend your right for free speech, but I really want you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know?
You should have free speech.
And
you shouldn't use it all the time.
Yeah.
You need to have discretion about when you need to use your free speech.
Says the two girls with a
your
podcast.
Freedom of speech. Yeah. Ours is confined. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
People who want to hear the dumb shit we have to say are here. Or they're listening.
Or we're forcing it on their For You page on TikTok.
Yeah. And then they say,
make microphones more expensive.
Then write your own, record your own podcast and say that.
Yeah. Bet you won't. I bet you can't figure out
how much money have you made from saying your dumb ideas publicly? Because we've made at least $5.
$10.
Yeah. 10 together.
10 together. Yeah. The other headline that I saw was Harry Styles was seen making out with someone at Glastonbury.
Do you think that Harry Styles has had a hair transplant?
Yeah.
Because I thought so too. Because he had a shaved head for a while.
Yeah.
Is it still shaved?
No, I don't think so.
They're priming us.
Yeah.
I think it was last summer. They're priming us with this shaved head. Honestly, he can pull off the look. I do think that like hair transplants are one of those things where I feel like it just, I haven't seen a bad one yet.
No.
You know, I've seen maybe some questionable looking ones.
Yeah.
But those were like older.
I love right after men get a hair transplant and their head is
swollen.
Yeah, they look like an alien.
And then they have to wash it with their soft sponge.
Yeah, it's very
Honestly, the
sweet.
ASMR of watching them wash their scabby head is very interesting. I don't know. There's something satisfying about it to me. It's kind of like watching
That's
people
so gross.
pop a pimple,
Yeah, okay, I could
but
understand
maybe
that.
but less gross.
Than popping a pimple.
I think, yeah, just watching them wash their
There's
little.
there's something about scabby and sponge in the same sentence
Okay,
that
that's
makes
valid.
me want
Yeah.
to die.
Well, I'm here to pass judgment on Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding.
Yeah.
And I know we're all sick of seeing it, probably, and talking about it, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast yet.
Yeah, so it doesn't really count.
It was largely protested. I don't know if you saw any of the protesting.
No, I didn't, but you
Oh.
had told me.
Yeah, I'll send you a TikTok that shows clips of the protesting.
Fuck yeah.
The people who live there came up with some very creative ways of protesting it. Like they had something floating in the water that looked like Jeff Bezos like hanging onto like a floating thing.
Oh my god, amazing.
And it was like the two of them like in like a tuxedo and a wedding dress. Like they had like full size figures.
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
can you imagine? Like they rented out like all of Venice for this.
Oh yeah,
Insane.
it's bullshit.
And for what? You know?
To get married and flex their wedding.
Is
They had a foam party on the mega yacht.
is
which
she
is so trashy.
Yeah, that is a sentence that I never wanted to hear. A foam party on a mega yacht? That's crazy.
Jeff Bezos's mega yacht wedding foam party.
Yeah. Ew. Is Lauren Sanchez a live girl from the text messages?
Yes.
That's crazy. That
I
it's-
love you,
it's-
Alive Girl,
that-
which we did talk about
Yeah.
when it originally happened.
Yeah.
I believe, wasn't Lauren Sanchez... Let me look her up.
Is she a right
Wasn't
wing
she a
grifter?
journalist? I think she is a right-wing grifter. Let's see.
'Cause I feel like she looks like all of them.
Lauren Wendy Sanchez Bezos is an American former journalist. She is a licensed pilot and founder of Black Ops Aviation, an aerial film production company.
That's kind of cool.
Sanchez has been a guest host on The View, co-host on KTTV Fox 11's Good Day LA, and anchor on the Fox 11 News at 10. Hold
Okay.
on.
Well, there's no
hearing a little bit
Fox
of an
News
echo.
proper in there, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, and anchor and specialist correspondent on Extra. She has also been a regular contributor on shows including Larry King Live, The Joy Behar Show, and Showbiz Tonight.
All right.
In 2024, Sanchez released her debut children's book, The Fly Who Flew to Space, which became a New York Times bestseller.
Cute. See, these are all things that I don't mind.
There is some drama with like someone she knows who is suing her over the concept of the fly who flew to space, saying she stole the idea from her to get revenge on her because they were both at a party dancing to they were dancing to a Black Eyed Peas song, and it was just the two of them on the dance floor, and everyone was watching this other woman and not Lauren dancing, and Lauren got jealous.
That is the most insane.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
It's
So you
giving Meghan
stole-
Markle's crazy sister.
It's just insane. It's insane to steal that specific kids book concept for that specific reason.
Yeah,
Like, that feels like the whole thing that you just said sounded like a Mad Lib.
it does. It
Mm.
does. And I feel like that we're at this point in American history where everything just sounds like a Mad Lib.
That's so true.
Okay, talking about Lauren Sanchez specifically, did you see pictures of the wedding and her wedding dress?
Yes.
So there's a couple of layers to this, and we're going to start with Vanity Fair. And I'm sure you're like, what the fuck? So the Vanity Fair editor stepped down like about a month ago. The rumor is Jeff Bezos bought Vanity Fair for Lauren as a wedding present. And then
What the fuck?
like suddenly within the last week, I think it was like Friday, either Thursday or Friday, Anna Wintour announced that she was stepping down as Vogue's editor. And she's been Anna Wintour, obviously, if you don't know her perhaps you've been living under a rock, but I also understand if you don't know who Anna Wintour is, but she's been Vogue's editor-in-chief for the last 40 years.
She's who Meryl Streep played in The Devil Wears Prada.
Yes. And she also is in charge of the Met Gala, which is like fashion's biggest event, and it's allegedly a charity.
Yeah. I want to know how much each ticket is to get in. If only we could find out.
I know. There's no way to know. So the rumor is Anna Wintour stepped down as editor because the Vogue cover has allegedly always been for sale. But Lauren Sanchez in her wedding dress was the digital cover of Vogue, and it has received a ton of backlash. And I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. So she does wear a lot of tacky shit.
Yeah.
She wore a bra and a blazer to the fucking inauguration.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you've looked at some of her other fashion choices, they are very loud, very tacky. But I think we need to say that the reason that these things look especially tacky is because of all of her fillers.
Yeah.
Her fillers and her plastic surgery makes her look cheap, makes her look tacky. She looks like a real housewife.
Yeah.
And I think that like we do see it a lot on reality TV, which makes me sad to see more and more filler.
Yeah.
But to see it on someone who is so wealthy, and I feel like we also see it so much with like these right-wing grifter women, like being pumped full of filler.
Yeah.
The Mar-a-Lago makeover is
Yeah.
how I've been referring to it. And I don't know. It looks so bad.
Yeah, it really...
It makes, like, her wedding dress, objectively beautiful. But with her face on it, tacky.
It's... my issue with her wedding dress is it just had everything going on.
It did. It had a lot of things.
It had sleeves. It was, like, really tight.
It was high
but
neck.
High neck. Mermaid.
I also think that she's trying to go into this rebrand of being recognized as someone like smart and noteworthy. Like they're doing this rebrand by sending her to space, and now she's trying to be known as someone who goes to space and not just the woman Jeff Bezos cheated on his wife with and is full of filler and had bad plastic surgery.
This feels like such a direct result of like all of the billionaires being so fucking uncool. Is that like
Yes.
It's not noble to marry a billionaire right now.
And even though I don't like that she's certainly not deserving of like the Vogue cover in any capacity. Like if we also think about Hailey Bieber, she was also on the Vogue cover right after she sold her business. She sold Rhode to Elf for $1 billion.
Yeah.
So we can't act like it's not a sign of the times that now we just have billionaires on the cover of Vogue.
Yeah.
And even though Lauren Sanchez, like, even though she's so tacky, and all of the billionaires are tacky and uncool, especially the ones that want to be like publicly recognized, because there are a lot of billionaires who are just like largely off of social media, keep their heads down and live their billionaire lives exploiting people, like no one knew who Brian Thompson was,
right?
But it's definitely a historical moment. It's to see this billionaire tacky woman on the cover of Vogue. Like it definitely marks history.
Yes, absolutely.
This is very reflective of the times we're experiencing.
Totally. It is.
Everything is for sale in America.
Yeah. It's it's true. But also it was only the digital cover, which is important to note. And me and Liz were just talking about this before we recorded, that like we can't find magazines anywhere. Like,
no, I was hunting everywhere for Amelia's craft night.
And when I was quoted in a Cosmopolitan article, I wanted a physical copy of it so fucking bad, and I could not find a Cosmopolitan anywhere. And like I was at the airport that month, and that was the only place that had.
Was it in the physical copy?
No. And it's interesting, but I didn't know that until I was at the airport, and I was like, oh my God, finally, I have a copy of it. And then the article just wasn't in there. So after like all the blood, sweat, and tears, it wasn't worth it. But regardless, like, it's interesting watching like how magazine journalism has shifted over the years. It used to be so fucking exciting to get like a 17 in the mail.
I have been thinking about that so much. Like, physical media is losing its place.
Yes.
More and more every year, and being replaced by these giant corporate subscription services.
Yeah.
I did read right before I came over, I was reading this really great article written by the CEO, I believe, of Substack. And it was about Can Leone, the ad tech event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of about that. But he makes this really interesting point I'll forward the newsletter to you, but he makes this really interesting point about how advertisers are kind of the backbone of media that we receive. So like with magazines, magazines were able to be sold because ad spots in magazines went for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you could, promote their products in your articles and whatnot, things like that. And then online, advertisers can just go directly to like an influencer or creator who has really like figured out how to take advantage of the algorithm, or they have a niche audience that an advertiser wants access to.
Yeah.
So the article starts to explain like how we can how has this model kept us from discovering new art, new creators, new writers, because we're all sort of beholden to advertisers and what they're marketing to us.
Yeah.
Like we miss out on a lot of great content and creators and artwork and journalism because of this model, even though it has worked really well for certain people. Like it has worked well for individuals who are talented creators. Mm-hmm. It has worked well for influencer grifters.
Yeah.
But at this point, it'll be interesting to see if we go back to a subscription model. And the original subscription model was, if you think about a newspaper, like you would like pay to receive a newspaper.
Right.
So your subscription to that is what funded you receiving it.
Yeah. Yeah. But like how people are consuming information and like their attention spans for information has changed so much.
It's true.
Over the years. People used to sit, like my mom still reads the New York Times every single morning, like front to back.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just like whenever I hear of like a millennial that does that, I'm shocked. Like,
I think it's going to fluctuate.
And I was just about to say, like, it does feel like the pendulum swings so much for all of these things. Like, I was thinking about this with Love Island specifically, how like for a while, like being able to binge like a whole season of a show in one sitting was like the exciting thing. It's like Netflix like made it so you could watch a whole season of a show like it at once. Mm-hmm. But then like now we're back to like an episode a week, like a release of a show like The Last of Us, because these media companies like the fact that everybody's having conversations in real time as they're happening.
Yeah.
And that's
really what I miss Twitter for too.
Yeah.
Is like being able to be part of a community online specific to what you're interested in.
Yeah.
And it has just become flooded with just like astroturfing bots and grifters and like far right bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's really scary and sad. And the whole thing with I've brought this up like 50 times on this podcast, but the documentary The Social Dilemma on Netflix talks a lot about how like ad platforms and like ad models have moved us into this space where like we are only seeing what we've like interacted with or like things that are like tangential to it. Mm-hmm. Because it serves the platform better if you're on it for longer, and that way they can serve you ads that are about the thing that you're looking at.
Yes, we're all beholden to ad tech,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And it, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's just like, I fucking hate scrolling through TikTok now because it'll be like occasionally like something funny that I want to see. And then it'll also be a bunch of sponsored posts
Yeah.
and people being like, ladies, you have to try this lipid lip balm, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't
TikTok
fucking
shop
care.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't want to see it. I like don't want to spend my money in TikTok shop or an Amazon affiliate link. Like, that's not what I want to do anymore. And I honestly, I highly encourage everyone to end their Amazon Prime subscription. Like, it has been so easy for me to not order anything.
That's nice.
Because when you have a subscription, you're like, well, I have to make it worth it.
yeah, or it's like, well, why wouldn't I buy
Yeah,
a thing?
or the
'Cause I
ease of
have it.
convenience.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it. And really the only way, like, one of the biggest ways you can make a difference without having to really do a lot is control where you're spending your money.
Mm.
And I'm not going to be spending it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And once you realize how much like stuff you don't buy or don't need, you're like, oh, that was surprisingly so easy.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Lauren Sanchez?
No, her fillers look like shit. Oh, one other thing I have been thinking a lot about. A lot of people, it seems, do not know the difference between Botox and fillers.
Oh, no.
So I just wanted to clarify that if there's any confusion. Like, I think men think they're the same thing
Oh.
for the most part. They're totally different. So
Yeah.
fillers are hyaluronic acid. I'm sure there's maybe silicone fillers too, but you really only see hyaluronic acid fillers, and that's what gives people those like big crazy duck lips, or like you can see this almost like pinched look in their nose where it kind of looks like they smelled something bad, you know?
Yeah.
That's because they've had filler put into their cheeks. So when people start to look really like crazy and kind of cat-like, they've put a lot of filler in their cheeks, they put filler in their lips, and it migrates. And when it migrates, and there's also been marketing that's like, oh, your body breaks it down and you need to get it refilled. But what really happens is usually the filler migrates. And then you're like, oh, I don't look how I did when I first got this filler. I need to get more. And then you kind of become face blind to it.
Yeah.
So that's what you see on reality TV shows. That's what you see on Lauren Sanchez's face. I'm sure if she got her fillers dissolved and maybe just did like a little bit of a facelift, like to make up for all of the skin that will be sagging after getting her fillers dissolved,
Yeah.
will make a difference. But that's what fillers are. And then Botox is a neurotoxin. And neurotoxins just paralyze a muscle in your face.
Mm-hmm.
It's also really good if you have migraines,
Yeah.
or if you need it for like if you sweat a lot.
Yeah. I've gotten it in my armpits a
A
few times.
that sounds so painful.
It is the worst.
Ugh, that's a sensitive spot.
Yeah, it sucks. And they give you a lot of shots.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh god, that makes my butthole clench. But that's the difference between Botox and fillers. And if someone gets Botox, and they're like of a certain age, like if they're in their 30s, you probably won't notice.
Yeah.
They'll just maybe look a little bit softer.
Yeah.
But if they're in their 40s or 50s, maybe it's more noticeable, especially in your 50s, because people in their 50s have lines on their face.
Yeah.
And when their face isn't moving and they don't have any lines, it looks kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I did also see on Reddit, this girl posted that she got a facelift and she's 32.
Oh, no.
Like, I'm not
No.
immune to seeing I'm not immune to seeing all of these things about like plastic surgeries you can have and filler and Botox, whatever. We all are consuming the same thing. But at 32, I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
32 at a facelift?
I keep seeing more and more young people getting facelifts.
That makes me really sad.
It makes me sad too. And she looked great before. I actually think she looked better before. Like, it does make me really sad, but like, we really need to sit here and think like, the fuck are we doing? First of all, facelift is very expensive
and super invasive.
and it's really it's very painful to recover from.
Yeah.
Is what I've seen. So
Oh my fucking
I don't know.
God.
Think long and hard about if you really want to like participate in that. Like you and I get Botox.
Yeah.
And I will stand by that. I don't think I'll get Botox forever.
Yeah.
But getting it right now is enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. A big problem is like the ease of all of these surgeries too. Like once you get one, or like once
yeah,
you
it's
like
easier
get
and easier
Botox,
to explain it away.
Yeah.
But I don't think enough people talk about like, so on Reddit, like I'm part of the plastic surgery subreddit because I've explored different things, especially a breast reduction. But like being part of that subreddit, you see so many people going into depression because they're having facial dysmorphia.
Right.
Like you've had this face your entire life, and you sure maybe aspects of how you look make you unhappy, but regardless of how unhappy it makes you, you also need to consider that getting this surgery will permanently change your face.
Yeah.
You are going to look at yourself in the mirror and potentially not recognize the person you see, and that is very like your brain isn't designed for that.
Yeah. No.
It's a serious thing.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
That's not to deter anyone from like getting plastic surgery if they really want it, but to think really critically long term about how you may respond.
Yeah.
And be prepared for that. We were not meant to look at ourselves as much.
Yeah.
We were not meant to see ourselves in photos in these front facing cameras. We were not meant to see ourselves as much in mirrors.
Yeah.
Like the only time our ancestors saw a reflection of themselves is like in
the water.
In the water.
Yeah. That's
in
so
the dirty
true.
bath water.
That's so true. That's fucking crazy.
Mirrors have been around for a long time.
Yeah. But I mean, like, they weren't as... It's like mirrors and also a million other ways that we're seeing ourselves now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not natural.
That is why sometimes I like looking at myself when I'm on mushrooms.
Oh.
Because it makes me more accepting and like see myself more like objectively rather than subjectively through my own eyes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's
and
good.
That's nice.
Because they say not to do that.
Yeah, because it can look really weird. If you
Yeah.
go in at the right time,
Yeah.
if you're not too high,
Totally.
you're like, oh, that's me.
Yeah. That's how other people see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Also, like, I feel like, you know, so much of, as a woman, so much of how you perceive yourself is dependent on where in the month you are.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. luteal phase, goodbye.
Yeah. Don't make any decisions when you're in your luteal phase.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
and
my parting gift.
I mean, like, the amount of insane and impossible beauty standards that are constantly shoved down women's throats is hard to keep up with and exhausting.
Yep.
And that's also why I like don't fault people for being insecure. You know, like it does suck that Lauren Sanchez is also a victim of that.
Yeah.
And also we can admit that everything she wears looks especially tacky and uncool because of her terrible filler.
Yeah.
I will not be surprised if in the next few months we see her filler dissolved and a nice Kris Kardashian facelift to pull back that extra skin.
She looks just like Kim now. It's fucking crazy. She looks so young.
Those Kardashian jeans.
Yeah, they're strong.
I mean, recovering from a facelift sounds like hell.
Yeah.
But I guess it's really it feels like a confusing place to be like, I don't like this, but she looks great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like this unrealistic standard that's being set, and also you look amazing.
Yeah. I think both things can be true. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
I mean, yeah, we need to make a lot more room for nuance in these conversations in general. I feel like a lot of online conversations have just like lacked nuance more and more, when you can't have nuance for me and none for thee, you know?
Damn.
So
that was fucking profound, dude.
That's me. I'm full of it. Philosophy.
Full as a fee?
Philosophy. But philosophy.
Philosophy, because your name's Liz.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Hashtag philosophy.
I'm here. I'm in the room.
I the amount of times I've said hashtag is embarrassing. I hate that for myself. I want you all to know. Millennial cringe.
I have not noticed.
I think that was probably the third or fourth time I've said it.
It's probably because I say it so much too that it's just kind of part of my vernacular.
I feel like you've only said it a couple times recently.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we've gone ear blind. Also known as deaf.
Also, maybe we've gone ear blind, also known as deaf. I think that's a great place to end this episode.
Okay, I agree.
That's what our listeners are about to be after we sing our exit song.
Yeah. Would you like to lead us out?
Sure.
Oh, damn.
Are you feeling nervous?
Oh.
Just kidding.
Oh.
I was listening to that in the car, which I feel like that's how you know something's wrong.
Yeah, that is.
Listening to Bo Burnham recreationally.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Damn. Okay.
Me. We